Hello, everyone, and welcome to Angel Healing House. My name is Candy Hough, and in today's video, my angelic family, the Posse of Angels, and myself like to talk about a topic which is called the magic of belief and faith. Now, the Posse of Angels wishes to start today's video by reminding all of us that we live in a gracious universe that desires exactly what we desire. And actually, there only is what each and every one of us desires. Now, this may be hard to believe when so many people experience just the opposite of this in their lives. This is because many people do not honor their heartfelt desires, and they compromise and they settle for less. And once they've done this, then they blame everything but themselves for the manifestation of a compromised reality and compromised relationships. And although many of us have been programmed that we are in competition with one another, each of us is forming a very different reality with our thoughts, with our words, and the feelings in our hearts. A wonderful example of the power of belief came to me from a client who found me on my Angel Healing House Blog Talk radio show, which is every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, Jim, this is not his real name, but let's call him Jim. Jim was a classroom teacher, and he longed to rise to the position of being a principal. Deciding to make movement to the fulfillment of his desires, he went back to school for additional credentials. With increased certification, he searched constantly to find a position, but year after year, he kept coming up empty. When I spoke with him, he said that he didn't get a job as a principal because there were too many overqualified people for too few jobs, and that good-paying jobs like these were very scarce. He also said that he and his wife longed to move north, as the neighborhood in the south in which they lived had changed for the worse and was quite dangerous now. But with not getting a better job, there was no way they could afford to move, as the northern suburbs were very expensive. In addition to being downhearted, he was physically suffering from back problems, shortness of breath, and was not sleeping at night. The more he spoke, the more the Posse of Angels showed me a leaf that had been caught in an eddy, and it had his face on it. This Jim Leaf was caught in a downward whirlpool of his own making, created by his thoughts, his beliefs in lack, and focusing on a defeatist attitude of not being able to achieve his desires. Now, firstly, the Posse of Angels reminded Jim that there is only what he desires. Now, this was an unbelievable revelation to him, as he thought he was in fierce competition with everyone else. I went on to paint him a very different but vivid picture of how multidimensional we are, and that there's a different reality for everyone depending on their desires and their energies within. I then explained to him, compassionately of course, that until he changed the sad and sorry tale that he kept telling himself day in and day out about not being able to get a job, that he never ever would achieve what he felt in his heart. The reason for this was because his feelings were so energetically opposite to what he desired. Once we allow this knowledge to settle on the deepest part of our soul, then we realize that it truly doesn't matter how many other people in the world are going for those jobs. What matters is that whatever we ask for and faithfully believe in must manifest for us. But I emphasized that we must let go of the how and the when for our heart's desires to be realized, as this is the area of the providence of God and the angels. It's certainly not ours. In this way, the most magical of possibilities and miracles can occur to answer our prayers, far from the limited ways that our logical minds can ever conceive. Now, for the rest of the session, I shared with Jim tried and true simple exercises that he could focus on and practice that would help him turn his desperate, sad energies into those which were more grateful, positive, and optimistic. By letting the grace of God work in his life, I also told him that by changing his perception from lack to being grateful and blessed and abundant, he would easily draw a job to himself that fulfilled his desires. I also said that as a result of putting his focus on the wonderful miracles that God and the angels were orchestrating in order to create a great job for him to easily step into, his physical problems would greatly diminish. 4 weeks later, I received this email from Jim. I just wanted to let you know and to thank you and the Posse of Angels for your guidance. I'm happy to say that last night I was named principal at a terrific elementary school. I know that our session together and my changed, positive outlook made all the difference. This was not only wonderful news, but Jim went on to tell me of the additional miracle that was attached to the fulfillment of his dream. He said that the principal's job that he was offered was in the northern suburbs, exactly where they initially desired to move. Now, fancy that. What a coincidence. Jim told the universe, God and the angels, exactly what he desired, and what clinched this deal with God was his focus, his faith, his belief in the magic of life, and letting go and surrendering the how and the when. And then, abracadabra, miracles happened. Now, the Posse of Angels is jumping in here. Okay, guys, and they're saying that our having faith is not the belief that God will do what we want. Rather, it's the belief that he will do what is for our highest good and the highest good of all concerned. In this way, all prayers are answered, but because through our humanness, we have such a limited view of life, our prayers are answered in the how and when of God's timing to work out for the best. Now, this entails enormous trust and, above all, patience on our part. But I can tell you that there have been many times in my life when I pleaded and I begged and I screamed at God and the angels for not answering my prayers in my timing. And when those prayers were eventually answered in God's way, I said, thank you, God, for holding off, because it would not have turned out as wonderful. I can now see that all the necessary pieces of the puzzle had not been revealed to me in order for it to happen in the most divine way. You know, viewers, the interesting thing about us believing and having faith in ourselves and our dreams is to ask ourselves, why are we practicing these things in the first place? You know, my lovely client did not begin to change his outlook of despair and desperation to being trusting and having faith in order to influence God, but his change to optimism and having a positive outlook was to change the nature of himself. And as many of us have experienced, it's only by changing from within does our world begin to change on the outside. You know, you need to believe in things that have not happened yet, for they will never manifest into the physical form without that energy of belief behind them. For in every moment that we entertain even the smallest doubt that we are restricted as to what we can do, as to what we want to become, and what we can have, we truly stop the flow of that energetic alignment for that desire to become real in the physical realm. By surrendering and allowing for the grace of God to enter into our lives, we will allow for infinite possibilities to create miracles for us. You know, what I've learned about my heartfelt dreams is to hang in there and not let anything or anyone shake my belief in them. I've learned to practice the art of staying connected to my dreams, never allowing myself to be distracted or too busy or too tired. And I've certainly never have taken my dreams for granted. For these dreams are mine, and nobody else's in any space, time, and dimension. As such, they are unique and they are special to me as they are God-given, and everyone has the free will and free choice to have their dreams. You know what makes us individuals is how much we believe in our dreams. Now, personally, I can tell you how magical and miraculous my life has become as a result of just believing and trusting in the grander vision that God has for me. I actually accept the feeling of not knowing where I'm going. Now, many of you may be thinking, how can anybody be comfortable with not knowing where they're going? Well, let me explain. I know in the deepest part of my soul that God and the angels wish the absolute best for me for my highest good. And with God's infinite scope, His vision and His wisdom, He can clearly see all the people, all the connections, all the situations that need to magically come together in order for my dreams to happen for the best of all concerned. Now, in my limited human form, I cannot. So instead of worrying and stressing and spending countless hours trying to figure life out, I've actually trained myself to love not knowing where I'm going. Because as a child of God, I know that I'm on a need-to-know basis. If I've not been given a sign about where and when to step forward toward the fulfillment of my heartfelt dreams, I wait for God and the angels to send me a sign. But I do not wait and do nothing. I write. I bring forth my creative talents and I write. I recently told a client that I spend at least 3 hours a day writing. In doing so, I feel alive. I feel bright. I feel enthusiastic and joyful because this was a gift and a talent that was planted in my soul to help me be joyful and to share it with others. Now, letting go to a higher source is not as easy a thing to accomplish, especially when we're still under the grand illusion that we're in control of the how and the when of things working out for us. But what I've experienced in believing and trusting and having faith in God and the angels is I do not have to worry and stress and control in order for things to work out for me. And when I've done these things in the past, life was just plain hard. It was downright difficult. And I constantly had to push in order for things to work out my way. And most of the time, I can tell you, I was rewarded with some sort of a result, but to be quite honest, it was absolutely a compromise. And in the end, it certainly was not very satisfying. Now, is being asked to believe an easy thing to do, especially when there is no tangible physical evidence that things will all work out for the best? Absolutely not. It goes against everything that we've been programmed for, which is fear, control, playing it small, and keeping the status quo, just to name a few things. But having lived this way for the better part of the last 13 years, since my angelic walk-in experience, I find that it's only when I am in a state of suspension with absolutely no place to land in sight that it forces my wings to unfurl in order for me to fly. And as I fly along, buoyed by the grace, the majesty, the infinite love and protection and guidance of God and the angels, I may not be aware of my destination, but the magic in life happens because we have had the faith to let God be the wind beneath our wings and allow His winds to carry us and to give us direction. Now, if you need some help with direction in your life, I would love to help you. My name again is Candy Hough, and as a Reiki Master Teacher and an angel practitioner at Angel Healing House, you can call for your intuitive counseling sessions, Reiki healing sessions, which are done either in my office, locally in Los Angeles, or through distant healing internationally and nationally. You can contact me at Candy, C-A-N-D-Y, at angelhealinghouse.com.